Thank you, Senator Scott. Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Reed, everything happening in Iran and the Middle East right now highlights how critical the maritime domain is, not just for our ability to sustain military operations, but for the global economy. I want to drill into this a little bit with you. So first, on March 2nd, while docked at the port in Bahrain, the U.S. flagged tanker Stena Imperative was struck by projectiles that caused a fire on board. Are you familiar with this, General?
I'm aware, Senator.
Yeah. Thankfully, the crew is safe. One shipyard worker was killed. That vessel's part of MARAD's tanker security program. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And how many tankers are enrolled in that program?
Sir, the program is fully subscribed at this point, and it's upwards of 60.
Upwards of 60.
Excuse me, if you're talking about the tanker security program.
Yes.
Yes, we currently have 10 that are funded.
Okay, 10 that are funded. This ship, Stena Imperative, was one of those. It's now damaged. So obviously not a large fleet, 10 ships. So when even just one of these vessels is damaged or unavailable, it can have an outsized impact. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So in your opening statement, you highlighted the importance of the commercial maritime industry to Transcom's strategic sea lift capability during a crisis. And I agree with that. But what we're seeing in the Middle East also demonstrates that we need to do more to support the commercial industry we rely on. So let me ask a practical question here. So since Transcom relies on commercial vessels that require insurance, what happens when no one is willing to insure ships that are operating in a conflict zone?
Senator, thanks to the emergency program of the Tanker Security Program, the value of that for U.S. Transportation Command is the fact that we have assured access to those ships. Those ships are committing to serve with us and to partner with us, and we have the ability to employ them in a maneuver scheme in conjunction with the theater commanders. Part of that also drives us to plan with the theaters to make sure that we have force protection with them as well, but to meet the need. We fully understand.
Can you explain, General, can you explain the tender security program that you just mentioned? I mean, is this the reinsurance that the President mentioned the other day?
Sir, the Tanker Security Program is our U.S. flagged ships.
No. I thought you said something else. So my concern is with the insurance, right? Can these ships in the Tanker Security Program, the 10 ships, which really 9 are available right now, are they without the required insurance because they're in a conflict zone? How does that affect their ability to be used to our benefit?
There is a provision for war risk insurance. That program, by and large, is run by the Maritime Administration within the Department of Transportation. U.S. Transcom works with them in conjunction. If that is required, there is a conversation and cooperation that exists between the two of us, and we can recommend the requirement for that, at which time the carriers have the opportunity to apply for the insurance.
So do you see this as an issue today, that it's going to be challenging to get some of these ships underway through the Straits of Hormuz because of insurance issues, or do you think there's no problem?
Senator, the challenge with transiting the Strait really depends on the conditions that exist and actually to make the safe transit. That will depend on the conditions at hand. That will be judged best by the theater commander, in this case, CENTCOM. But once the conditions are set, we'll sail.
So no resistance by the ship owners in the Tanker Security Program to sail as soon as Transcom says it's okay?
We hold conversations with the ship owners several times a week. There's an information exchange that exists. There's also a forum that we have called the Executive Working Group. In that, we advise them of the situation. We point out to them what's going on. They fully understand the risk, and they also give advice to us in terms of the best way ahead.
If I could just have 30 more seconds, Mr. Chairman. So, I think a lot of this highlights, we only have 10 ships in the tanker security program. MSC has a limited number of vessels. Would you agree that our country needs a whole-of-government national maritime strategy so that our maritime transportation system is prepared for crises? When we look at a conflict going across the Pacific, in the Western Pacific, let's say, in the future, with China, are we prepared with our current maritime industry to support a long-term conflict with a near-peer adversary?
Sir, I'll tell you that if we were given the task to go today, we would all go. We would all take what we have and we would execute and support the combatant commander in their needs based on what they require. I will tell you that there is a lot of work to be done to strengthen the health of the fleet, to strengthen the health of the workforce. Part of the challenge of that is cargo. Having cargo available will actually drive the overall plan for the demand to build ships, the demand to have the ships, and work to be done by the crews.
Well, thank you, General, because I'm out of time, but that's what and that issue is addressed in my Bipartisan Ships for America Act. So I hope to move that legislation forward so you're in a better position to be able to do your job. Thank you.
General Reed, have you had a chance to look at the Ships for America Act?
Senator, I have. Chairman, I have.
You have?
Yes, I have.
What do you think about it? You got a pretty good suggestion, don't you think?
Chairman, there are a lot of aspects in that, and it's incredibly comprehensive. And it does address a lot of things, but it does bring home the fact that we do need a comprehensive approach with comprehensive investment. And we also need to make sure that there's a provision to invite the commercial leaders as well to help us through this. In the end, the fundamental success will ultimately be driven by the amount of cargo. And when we have cargo, that will drive the demand for shipping. We'll find a way to actually construct here, and then we'll actually have the crews because they'll have work to do.
Well, thank you for that insight. Senator Sheehy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would second what Senator Kelly was saying and some others that we need to be focusing not just on our exquisite platforms, but also the broader capacity of the logistics system that's going to support that frontline fight. And to that end, to General Reed, and I'm sorry you're getting all the inbounds here, but specifically I'd like to talk about our future airlift platforms. We spend a lot of time in these hearing rooms talking about the F-47 and the B-21 and the F-35 and the F-22, and of course those are all critical platforms, but at the end of the day, moving material into theater, especially as we evaluate a Westpac engagement with a peer adversary. I don't say near peer because I believe we're in a peer-to-peer situation now with China. Physically moving people, bullets, bombs, food, clothes, physically moving millions of tons of gear halfway around the world quickly, especially in an area where we're fighting in someone else's backyard and we're having to project that material around the world to tiny islands that we may or not be in control of. Our C5s are, I've heard in some cases, 40% dispatch reliability. They're half-century old, if not more. Our C-17s, as incredible platform as they are also aging. And as far as I know, we don't currently have a follow-on long-range heavy-lift logistics aircraft that's been decided on, awarded, and certainly not in production, but it isn't quite even in decided conceptual stages. And when we look at how challenging a KC-46 program has been to roll out, to replace, I still hear that the last KC-135 pilot hasn't been born yet, and that's probably true. And the KC-46 rollout has been very problematic. So I think we need to have a very serious focused effort. This committee does, but also at the general officer level of focusing on bringing that next generation heavy airlift platform into reality. And whether that's restart on the C-17 with some great upgrades, or whether that's reimagining a new platform, whatever we do, we got to do it quick. So I'd like your thoughts on that, please. And I understand you're not the procurement command for this. I realize you're the customer of this platform, but I think part of the defense acquisition paradigm we're trying to change at this committee is making sure the customer is closer to the actual specification process for the platforms, because we've given the power to the PEOs and the contract officers, and the most powerful voice in any acquisition process should be the actual end user customer. So you and your captains and majors flying these planes and driving these ships should be the ones driving the requirements, not bureaucrats somewhere else. So if you could talk to us about next gen airlift and where you think it needs to go, I'd appreciate that.
Thank you. Our primary job at Transcom is to set the conditions to move within the headquarters. Excuse me. We frequently start with the idea we need to set the globe to set the theater. What that means is we have aircraft that are operating around the world each day along with sea lift, but when a crisis arises, there's the need to make the shift. Once we do that, every aircraft that we have available that already originates in the region, we employ them directly. All the aircraft that we have here in the United States, we generate that, and then we build the network to connect the two. Our C-17s and our C-5s are the most capable things in the world right now to make that bridge to get the force out of the United States. That's incredibly key because greater than 85% of the joint force still resides here. And so when they're needed abroad, those are the aircraft that we use to start that move. The challenge that we have predominantly with our competitor is that they are actively developing weapon systems to threaten our aircraft. And so not only do we need new aircraft to get us into the future, we also need the aircraft that are more survivable. So in dealing with the Air Force, we are working with them on the requirements to meet that, but also to track the development of the threats as they emerge from our competitors.
One, I'd also encourage us to explore all alternatives, expanding and having a wider guarantee for our contract-operated cargo carriers. Not best for contested environments, but at least they can get tonnage forward. And then exploring things like amphibious aircraft or even submarines that can provide logistical support. Subs have typically been reserved for exquisite tactical missions, as they should. But when we're going to be operating in a Westpac, first, second island chain contested environment, literally moving logistics under the water where we still have dominance. So thanks for your time today. I yield back, sir.
Thank you, Senator Sheehy. We